I wonder if you have a routine during the week when you do cooking for your family. Are there certain things on certain days, or is it random? How do you go about that? I remember when I was a kid, my grandma, who ruled the kitchen, had this system in place. And thinking back, the older I get, the more I think it was a brilliant idea. There was a pattern to that. There was always a big Sunday dinner with a big roast, or some meat was always the main actor in that Sunday dinner. And then Mondays, because we cooked lots, my grandma was very generous with portions, so there was always leftovers. Mondays was the leftover day, and we were looking forward to that because that was special Sunday dinner leftover. Mondays was leftovers. Tuesdays, there was an egg dish, so it would be a very German thing, boiled eggs in a mustard cream sauce on boiled potatoes with a green salad. Tuesdays, it had to be something dumpling-ish. Wednesdays was always something green, spinach, kale, or that kind of thing, and so on during the week. And Fridays was fish. And I think it has a religious origin, which didn't matter in my house much, but that's where it came from. So Fridays was fish, and Saturdays was soup and something nice with the soup, but some sort of a soup before the big Sunday dinner. So anyway, Friday is fish day. So today we're going to make some fish, and we'll do two kinds of fish. Both of them very delicious, both of them potato crusted. And I'll show you how easy it is to make that, and it tastes dynamite. Welcome to my kitchen. So with our fishies, we are going to make Brussels sprouts. Now I know there's divided camps on Brussels sprouts. Love it, hate it, love it, hate it. Let me show you one way to prepare it that may convince some and bring them from the one side to the opposite side. Brussels sprouts, washed and peeled. I'm gonna put them in salted boiling water, and I wanna cook them really, really, really soft because we're going to semi-puree them and add bacon and onions and cream to them, and then this is going to turn into something totally different. So maybe the Brussels sprout haters will be converted. I'm hoping very much so. So let me put that in the water. To be safe, I would say 20 minutes, 25 minutes of a light boil until they're nice and soft and we can puree them. For the fish, I have salmon and haddock, and both will be in a potato crust, but slightly different. The salmon, and maybe now that I think about it, the haddock that we're doing, I'm going to cut that in smaller pieces so it could be used even as an appetizer, or more fun to eat than a big piece for your kids. We can have a look at that. Easy start, salt and pepper on both sides. A little more. And then I'm going to cut the haddock in, what are we going to do, 3 pieces, maybe? Just like this. We'll start with the salmon. Boiled potatoes, I would suggest boil them the day ahead. The advantage of boiling it the same day is when they're warm, they peel a lot easier. When they're cold, not quite as easy to peel, but not a big problem. So when they sit overnight, they handle a little better next day for the crust that we're going to make with them. I'm using Yukon Gold because I like the color and the texture of the potato very much, but you can use any potato you like. When you find dark spots in your potato, like I just did, make sure you cut that out very generously. So these are our potatoes for the salmon potato crust. I'm going to quickly peel 2 large potatoes for the haddock, because that crust will be made from raw potatoes that we're shredding very thinly, very fine, so they cook as fast as the fish will. We'll start with the cooked potato crust, a grater, the coarse side of a grater, and we'll just run those potatoes up and down to get some shreds. It's a bit of messy business, but trust me, it's worth it. And the last one. There we go. And for the second crust, it's a julienne cutter, or you can use a grater as well and try to get long pieces out of your potato. So we'll shred it a long way. You can see how they come in nice tiny little shreds. I find that kids really, really love potato crusts made from raw potatoes. So maybe that's a way to get your kids to like fish, freshly made fish. Give it a try. There we go. And for this one, I'll just put it in a bowl. For the potato to stick with the fish and not fall apart too badly, I'm adding just a tiny bit of cornstarch, just a little bit. You don't want to really feel it, taste it, but it helps keeping it together a little. And then all we need on this is salt, a bit of pepper, same here. A little more salt. And there we go. Start with the salmon. We didn't need the potato. I want to mix this a little bit. And in the meantime, I'm going to turn on my stove under some butter to melt. The butter will go on top of the cooked potatoes for the crust. This, we don't really need anything with it, so we'll just try to do it right before we put it in the fry pan so it doesn't all fall away and fall apart. Two more things we need before we get going. Egg, a little bit of flour, and we'll start with the haddock. Just dip it in your flour a touch. Shake off what doesn't stick. Bring this over here and just place it on top for now. The egg will help your potatoes stick to the fish a little better. There we go. And you can tell this is a bit of a messy affair, but like I said, it's well worth it. It'll taste really good. We'll just coat the pieces with the potato. We'll try to get some top and bottom. This takes care of the raw potato crusting version. And for the salmon, all we do is we'll mix that first, put the potato in the bottom. Because the potatoes are cooked, they will stick nicely to the fish. And on the top, just like this. Because we're going to be handling this one more time, I'm not going to put it on in its final version. We're just going to portion it a little bit. A layer under and a layer on top. And then the tricky part will be to transfer this without losing all the potatoes into your fry pan, where we've heated up some olive oil ready to go. And here we go. So here's step one on our cooking part. We'll start with the haddock and just slide that into our fry pan. It won't stay in there for long, so don't go too hot on the oil because we'll transfer that into the oven. We just want a little crust to form in oil. Same with our salmon. There we go. Flip them. See how the potatoes stick nicely to the fish now. Here we go. And the salmon, just get it nice and even on top. because we're finishing it in the oven, I don't need to turn this one. All I'm going to do is pour just a tiny bit of butter over top to help the crust turn beautifully golden in the oven. And we'll just take both and move them into the oven. About 375 to 400 degrees. These will take 5 minutes to finish in the oven. The salmon, I would give it about 10 to 15 minutes. If you don't have fry pans that can go in the oven, just transfer your fish onto a baking sheet lined with parchment paper and you'll be just fine. So in the meantime, we can go and prepare our Brussels sprout puree. For our Brussels sprouts, they're almost done, a couple of minutes, nice and soft. All we need is an onion or a shallot. We chop that up, and a bit of bacon. Let's see if we can convince some people that Brussels sprouts aren't that bad after all. I'm using a double smoked bacon that you could almost eat as is. It's beautiful. Cut that in pieces. Get that frying. And when the bacon is almost there, we'll put the onions in for a quick minute. And we'll be adding this after we semi-puree the Brussels sprouts. The only other ingredient that's going in, other than salt, pepper, and a bit of nutmeg, will be cream. And that'll be nice and easy. That will be your base under the potato crusted fish. You can see I semi-pureed it. I like some chunks left over, but if you want to make it a really smooth puree, just put the Brussels sprouts in your food processor. You can use an immersion blender, a food processor, anything you have handy. And because we're cooking them very soft, if you have none of those, you could even use a fork. That'll work as well, and just mush them that way. So we're going to mix it in here, a little salt and pepper, and you must have known by now that I am a nutmeg fan, so we're going to add some nutmeg to it. Nutmeg works really well in all vegetables for my taste. There we go. I've heated up a little bit of cream. We don't want it to be too liquid, but we want that smoothness of the cream to make the Brussels sprouts a little milder. There we go. And of course, our bacon and onions that will go in. It smells delicious. You can serve this just as a side to any meal. And also, I've done the same seasoning with butternut squash, for example. It tastes quite good too. So this is Brussels sprouts for people who don't like Brussels sprouts. If you don't like this, I think it's hopeless, then we're not going to convince you and convert you. But give this a try, it's yummy. To give our kids' version a little bit of color, we're going to slice up a tomato. Everybody loves tomatoes. And when we come back, I'll show you what this looks like when you serve it to your family.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
Being on the Midhurst studio tour, it's just such a great way to, meet the people in your area. In Simcoe County, there's not a street or a stream or a park that you cannot find inspiration. And it's nice to use stuff that's found that you can incorporate into your repertoire. And if I can't carve it, then we do a CAD design through the computer, and then we will cast it and then add the stones. That's what I love. I love doing really different things.
Look how pretty these turned out for the kids. Nice and crispy, the potatoes outside and the fish inside very juicy and fresh. Maybe just a little salt and pepper for the tomatoes. Light on the pepper, I've been told, for the little ones. Oh, and if you want, what you could add, if you happen to have some or want to try some, balsamic glaze might be really, really nice under there. Just a little bit under your fish. And here we go. Do we have enough room for all this? Yes, we do. Beautiful. If you like, you can add some lemon or orange, just to look pretty. And there we go. There's a children's version that I now really want to eat because it smells so good. And then we have the salmon. And it turned out perfect. Look at it. Potato, golden on the top, a little darker in the bottom where it sat in the pan. And the salmon looks beautifully juicy. So to serve this, you can just have this on a plate with your Brussels sprout puree on the side, or you can do a little bit of Brussels sprout and put your salmon right on top of it. 1. And 2. Gorgeous. Beautiful colors, beautiful dish, both of them. I'm not saying this is for kids only, adults are allowed because it's nice and crispy and yummy. Brussels sprouts, again, if you have kids who love them, then that's a dish for them. If not, give them an alternative. So let me show you what this looks like on the inside. Short of being able to taste it, this is as good as it gets here. Look at this. Can you see this? Flaky, juicy, beautiful. You don't have to use salmon. Any fillet of fish will work for both these dishes. And I'm sure hoping you're going to give this a try because it doesn't get any better than potatoes, Brussels sprouts, and fish. Enjoy, and we'll see you soon.